Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to teach you all how you can do beginner F2L. So let's get right into the video. So F2L is the most important part of CFOP and you really need to get good at it to be good at CFOP. It takes up most of your solve and it involves inserting each of the pairs, like this would be a pair, into its spot. Now if you were to solve this slot normally, what you would do is you'd put the corner in just like that. Then you'd put the other edge piece in and then that would make its pair, but in F2L you solve the corner and the edge together so it becomes a pair just like this. Now I'm gonna warn you guys, this is kind of complicated at first, but once you get practice into it, it gets really easy. And you may notice that your times on 3x3 get a lot slower at first, but they'll eventually speed up and you'll get a lot faster. So don't be discouraged if your times get a lot slower with using F2L versus the beginner CFOP, because then your times will get faster after that. So first, what I'm going to teach you is the two ways to insert pairs. Now there's also a sledgehammer, but you don't really need to use a sledgehammer when you can just insert it the normal way. So the way those work is if you have a pair like this that's paired together, what you need to do is R, U prime, R prime. And that inserts the pair, and that's basically one of the easiest pairs to do. Now let's go over the second case to insert a pair. The next one is if the edge is flipped, just like this, and you can't pair it together where they're right next to each other, because as you can see, if I paired it together where they're right next to each other, the edge would be flipped. So what you need to do in this case is you do R, U, R prime. And that's how you insert it. So now let's go over more of the techniques and how you really do F2L. So to start F2L, you should have all of your cross solved. And if you're wondering for more advanced F2L tutorials, I have many F2L tutorials. And usually on my channel, I come out with a weekly short video that basically gives an F2L tip. So you might want to check those out because I have many F2L tips and tutorials. So the first step is to put the edge and the corner on top. And the pairs are made up of one edge and one corner. So if I'm going to do this red and blue pair, what I need to do is put this red and blue edge on top. So I have the white corner, and then I have this edge. And the way you do it is you just move it to the top like that. And then instead of doing it like that, because that would take the corner down, or like this, what you need to do is you just need to move it so that none of them are on this layer. So this row and this row both have the edge and the corner, but since this row doesn't, you move it down. The next step is to learn the three cases. So there are three cases you can get in basic F2L. The first case is like this, where you have the corner facing the side and then the edge is flipped so you can't pair it right there. The second case looks like this, where as you can see I have this corner right here and I have the edge, and then the tops of them are both matching. They're both blue so you can pair it up like that. The third case looks like this, where as you can see I have the corner right here and I have the edge right here, and it doesn't matter which placement the edge is because the white corner is facing up, so it doesn't matter the placement of the edge. And once you practice all these cases, then they'll become really easy and you can solve them in about a second. So you don't need to worry that F2L will be slow, because once you practice this one, like for example, this case is really easy. I can just solve it just like that. Some of these cases are easier to solve once you have a lot of practice in them. So for the first case, let's go over how to solve this one. It doesn't matter where the edge is as long as it's on the top. And as you can see, the tops are not matching. So that's the first case. The second case is if the tops of them are matching. And the third case is if the white corner is facing the top. So once you have both of the pieces on the top layer, what you need to do is you need to separate them. Now this one would need to go across from it. And the way to separate them would be to make sure that they're apart. So I could do something like that. Now this one would need to go across from it. So if it was like this edge, since it's flipped, it needs to go across from where the corner is. So if the corner is right here, the edge is right here, then you need to put the edge right here. So the way you do that is you make sure the back slot is empty, because if I had a solved pair right here, then it would take it out. So you need to make sure that's empty. Then what you do is you move the corner down just like that. Then you move the edge over just like that, because now it's across. So if you have the case where there are different colors on the top, you need to put them across from each other. And the way you do that is you just move the corner down and then you do that. Now the other way you could do it is if it's right here and it's flipped, you could just do that also. Then you can insert it using one of the methods that I showed you at the beginning. Now the methods that I showed you to insert them were RU R prime and RU prime R prime, but that's basically the same thing with the left hand, and you can go just like that to insert it. This is the second case where they're both matching on the top, and as you can see they both have blue on them. Now what you do in this case is, as you can see, they both have blue. So just like in the previous step, after they're both on the top, what you need to do is separate them. So I can just move the blue corner down like that, move this edge over, and then move it up. Now this is another thing, you also need to make sure the back slot is unsolved, because if I had it like this, where I had this pair in the back slot and I moved it down, moved that edge away so it would separate them, move it up, that would destroy this pair and that would separate that pair. So you need to make sure that the back slot is unsolved just like that. So then once you have them separated, what you need to do is you need to put the blue so it's facing the left or the right side. In this case, it'd be facing the left, or you could just do it in the back like that. But since it's the beginner's tutorial, you want it to face the left or the right side, just like you did when you did that corner. Then what you do is you move the corner down to hide it, and then you can move the edge wherever you want on the top layer. So then what you do is you move the edge so it's right next to the blue where it would be when it would go up. And you may want to look at it like this. If you rotate down, as you can see, these two pieces are both adjacent, just like I showed you in the previous case. So in the previous case, remember, they were opposite colors, so that's what they are now. So then you move the blue corner up, and that restores the cross, and now you have your pair. Then what you can do is you can put it right next to where it's supposed to go, and you can do R, U prime, R prime. Now let's go over the third case. So here is the third case, and as you can see, the corner is facing the top. Just like we did in the previous steps that you guys should know, the first step is to separate them. So after you have both of them on the top layer, you need to separate them, and now as you can see, they're separated. Then what you do is, since this is a little different technique because this one is white and it's facing the top, what you need to do is you move the edge so it's matching its center. So as you can see, this edge right here is matching its center. Then what you do is you move it opposite of where it's supposed to go. So since this edge is supposed to go right here, instead of moving it right there, what you need to do is you need to move it opposite. So I move it away from where it's supposed to go after I have it matching its center. Then what you do is you move the U face just like this, just like you do when you normally do it. But in this case, instead of hiding the corner like I did in the previous steps, you hide the edge. Then I put the corner right here. So once you have the edge on the opposite side, you move the upper layer so the corner is right there. Then you move it up. And now as you can see, it's in this case right here. And then I can just insert it like I normally would. So those are the three cases that you need to know when doing F2L. So now that you know all the cases, what you need to do is keep practicing them. So you need to practice the beginner F2L cases, and now once you practice each of the cases and you know how to solve it, you can use other techniques to make sure that you solve them faster. Like in this case, this technique is you pair them while you're putting them both on the top. And that's another big technique that most people should learn. Once you're done learning beginner F2L, you need to learn how to pair them both on the top, just like that, so I don't have to put them both on the top and then pair them. And then I can insert into the back. Another important technique is the keyhole technique, where you put an edge in and then you move the corner back, and that's another important technique. And then another technique is to just memorize the cases. So once you learn beginner F2L, I would really recommend memorizing the three cases that I showed you in this video. And the steps were: first, put both pieces on the top layer; second, separate them; and third, solve them as they were their case and insert them. So those are three very simple and easy steps, and I'd really recommend practicing those and doing a bunch of 3x3 solves with F2L. Hey guys, I hope this tutorial helped you. Make sure to keep practicing those cases and getting better at them. I even have a full playlist on my channel that's based on F2L tips. So you may want to check that playlist out because that has all my F2L tips and videos in it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe and check out other content, as well as commenting your thoughts on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.